Return to Glory podcast. Hunter Zarb, Nikki Austin Rose, Dakota Free Tag. The 3-0 Huskers are ranked, playing another ranked team for the first time since
another ranked team
at Memorial Stadium since 2013 when the
Holy
Huskers got beat to
Who'd they play?
UCLA back in 2013. First time two ranked teams match up since 2013. Illinois 3-0, coming off wins against Eastern Illinois, Kansas, and Eastern Michigan. Friday night game, short week. How's the preparation going? According to rule, not much different. How about you guys?
It was much shorter this week. Personally, I don't know if I'm ready to take on Illinois. No, I don't know. My survivor pool picks were a little rushed. I kind of messed up. I had picked them all out for the whole year, and then last week I called some audibles, so I had to shift some stuff around. It was stressful.
Yeah, we didn't have enough time to prepare for this, so my picks might be off, but we'll get them done.
Well, I will say this. One person is going a very different route than the other two in our survivor pool. Just looking at the routes, and Dak, that being you're taking a lot of favorites, big time favorites, which might work out. Austin might slip up, but we will see when we get to picks at the end. We are still alive, so that's the good news. Dak, short week, Friday night game. More excited for the Husker game or the Oklahoma game this weekend?
Oklahoma for sure. That's going to be an absolute ass kicking, and it'll be Oklahoma ass kicking Tennessee. All this talk. Okay, you want to talk about Oklahoma game later or now?
No, let's do it now. You go ahead.
Another way.
Okay.
Do your thing with your team that you know 5 players on.
Tennessee's doing all this talk about how good they are. You know, you haven't had a good season, and since the Huskers had a good season. One good year you think you have. Well, come in Norman, you'll see what happens. Night game day there, we're going to kick their ass.
I will say Tennessee spread is one of my favorite bets this week.
Old quarterback's coming in town, Josh Heupel.
I also want to say,
I like the guy, but not this week.
Dak, we might have to make a little side bet here on this because I just am not buying into Oklahoma so far with what they've done, and Tennessee is ready to roll people, and I love it. They onside kicked up 31-0 in the first quarter this week. Like, come on.
Their offense is very scary.
And got it. Like, you want to talk about going for the kill shot like Scott Frost? No, they actually got the kill shot.
I mean, they haven't played anybody yet, but this is the best Oklahoma okay, I might not say this on Sunday. Right now, the best Oklahoma defense they've had in probably 15, 20 years. So we'll see. Come to Norman.
Did you guys see the thing that Tennessee is next year? They're increasing all their tickets by 10% for profit sharing.
I like it.
My issue with it is they say it's profit sharing, but they just increase the cost 10%, and then they're giving them that 10%. Like, they're not sharing the profit; they're charging more, and then giving, like, I don't know.
It's not the business definition of profit sharing that we're used to.
No, they weren't like, oh, here's how much money we're making. We're actually going to share it. It's
right.
No, they just put the
revenue sharing.
Customer. Yeah, it's just revenue sharing. We're going to put the cost on the customer and split it out before he even makes it to the. Yeah, whatever.
Now, does it come out 10 years down the road? They were scumbags about it and just kept it themselves.
I mean, they're going to keep aspects of it. No. I mean, there's going to be fees, though, associated with the cost of tickets that I'm sure in some way is going to wake its way back. You know, you increase ticket costs, some other things cost more.
I don't know publicly you can put out and say this is what you're doing and not do it. But maybe, Dak, maybe you're right.
Mark that down. 10 years down the road, we'll talk about it.
Okay. Illinois talk. Big game. Maybe the next new big game for the Huskers. I heard this on another podcast and I liked it. So I think it's worth talking about here. We had a lot of conversation on resetting expectations, new floor ceilings on Sunday. This game, I think, is a big deciding factor, and where the season continues to go. We've talked about potentially letdown spot, what Huskers are used to with the scar tissue. And I really liked how they broke this down. So they came up with 3, but I want to see if you guys can go through and name these. And I got to word the question right. So what has been the 3 overhanging things that have plagued Nebraska football the past like 5 to 10 years?
Turnovers,
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can
Check.
say that one all together.
penalties. No.
Yes, but not. I mean, yeah.
Execution. Is that how? I don't know how you want to.
Oh, maybe. So the other two things
Coaching.
that said were close games, 1-score games, like not being able to win 1-score games. And then the last one was, and this is maybe over longer than a 5 to 10 year period, is winning big games.
Oh, okay.
Those are the 3 things that come to mind where I'm like, okay, Nebraska football, like what has just sucked over the past few years and has led us to suck, or what has just been hard to be a Husker fan. It's those 3 things. And I really like that breakdown. Cause I'm like, yeah, like that sums it up. I mean, yeah, you can throw penalties in there. You can break down the why behind it, but
I just didn't realize it was a macro outlook on it. I was thinking more
the
specific.
turnovers, we think we've maybe solved, or we've seen enough to maybe prove that we are moving in the right direction there. Big games, we got one. Like that win against Colorado and that performance, I'm not saying how good Colorado might be, but at the same time, like it was a big game on a big stage on national television.
Now wait, time out real quick. Do you guys? I'm guessing what your answer would be here. Do you guys feel like this is a bigger game, or the Colorado game was bigger?
Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado definitely felt bigger.
And just as far as the hype in the meaning of the game,
I wanted to beat
I
Colorado way more than I want to beat Illinois.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it was number 1 most important on all of our preseason.
I was interested. When you have that list, I was curious where we had Illinois ranked.
You definitely didn't expect it being a ranked matchup.
I
did have it pretty high. I think I do have it here, maybe.
I feel like it's higher than what we originally thought it was going to be.
The last big thing is winning close games, and that is still to be determined. We haven't had to have one. Even the ones we had last year, guess what? We lost them. We are 5-24 in 1-score games in the last 29.
That's so bad.
We might not have one this week. Like, point spread is not us by 9. So it's not projecting us there. But at the same time, when we get in that situation, Husker fans all want to see, can we put together the drive that when we need to go down, score a touchdown? Can we get a stop when we need to get a stop? Can we not turn the ball over? Can we not have a stupid penalty? Can we punt the ball the right way? Can we not onside kick it? How else have we lost?
That's a good question.
There's been a lot. Like, we need to see, can we win a close game? So, and that's not a secret. That's pretty well known to the entire country, basically, that Nebraska has not been able to come through in these 1-score games. So I think that's what we need to see. And I do believe, whether it's this week or in near weeks, like we will have to win some of these games to meet these expectations and call them ceilings over the next few weeks.
Well, people must be throwing a lot of money in Illinois, because now it's down to 7.5.
Really? Because I saw 9. I saw 9 when I just checked about 10 minutes ago.
Huh. Well, we got to battle the books here, but
ESPN has it at 7.5. I see that.
Yeah. The CBS still has it at 9. So, yeah, that I do think the line's high. Just at like, it feels like a 1-score game to me that I think we should win, but it feels high to be over a touchdown. I think Illinois is going to be the best football team we've played so far this year with what they have, and we'll get into their personnel here in a bit. But I do think that the money, rightfully so, could be going on Illinois. I don't want to bet it, but
I feel
I'm
I
not-
don't know. Nine's a lot. I'd probably put mine in Illinois too at 9.
Yeah, are you sure they're better than Colorado? They haven't played anybody yet. The opponents they played are 3-6.
I that's my thought. Just looking at them and what they got. I mean, I don't think they have the high end talent that Colorado had, but I think top to bottom they're a better team. I think they're a better coached football team. A lot of respect for Bret Bielema, and ruled us too. And he talked about that at length in his press conference on Monday, speaking about how Illinois is a mirror image of what we try to do as a program. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. When I went out there a few years ago in Bielema's first year and just watching him, how he manages and controls his team, it's pretty impressive. Now, he is in year 4, I believe. And at this point, in a coach like that, a school like that, you start to figure out if it's going to work here long term. Are you able to sustain success and then take that next step? Like Illinois has been right around what, the 6-6, 7-5, 5-7 mark the past few years, which has been better than what they have had before. They historically were one of the worst teams in the Big Ten in the last 20 years. So they've gotten better, but our guys continuing to buy into Illinois. There seems to be some hype right now. They're ranked. I think they're a better football team. But it's going to be a test for them coming to Lincoln, because we're in the same boat, and we are actually in year 2 of a coach that we really believe in right now, and it's showing all signs of that.
I'll go for it, Dak.
Yeah, Bret Bielema, I do think is one of the best coaches, I'd say probably in the nation. I don't know if I go that far. Big Ten. Okay, we'll go Big Ten. First off, are the restaurants stocked up enough for him to come to town? Anyway, he I don't know why Wisconsin ever got rid of him. I was talking to somebody before this. Do you think right now Wisconsin would take Luke Fickell or Bret Bielema as their coach? I think he suits Wisconsin's program better, but I don't know what you guys think.
I think that they would take him back.
Yep.
Not take him back. I mean, they're not going to fire Fickell and then hire him back, but if they could go back and undo the firing. Now, if I remember correctly, it sounded like it was more of a power struggle. AD wanted too much say in the program. Bielema wasn't letting Bielema spread his wings, sort of thing, is why he left. So I don't think there was ever really any doubt that it was going to end in a little bit of a divorce. But I think Bielema would have been better off serving Wisconsin.
He went from Wisconsin to Arkansas, where it did not work out there, and then now at Illinois. I think what happened at Wisconsin, though, is kind of similar to where his situation is here at Illinois, and it's similar to Bo Pelini's situation too, where Wisconsin was good and they had some pretty good years. I would say maybe even better than Pelini, because maybe they didn't win one. I don't know, while he was there, a conference title, but like he just got stagnant there. Like they were successful. They were winning 9 games a year, but they weren't taking that next step and elevating themselves to a national title contender. So I think there's that story there as well. And similarly, where he's at Illinois, I don't know what that means. Like how you read into that does that make you a bad coach no, I think you're still a very solid, good coach. Like I think Bielema leads programs very well and in the right way. So it's going to be a challenge Friday. Rule had an interesting comment too, talked about us going from being the hunter to the hunted once you start getting better. And now that we're ranked, what do you guys think of that comment?
Gosh, it's tough to say because I always feel like we've been a little bit the hunted, just because I think we're one of those programs that we were really good for a long time and now everyone kind of hates us. I don't know if that's just the Nebraska fan, like us versus the world, because I don't really think that's not how I think, but I do think that there is probably a general disdain for the brand of just like, oh, you guys always think you're good, but you're not sort of energy. But I mean, he's right, but that's more of like a player mentality of, hey, don't think you're better than you actually are. 'Cause that's when you start underestimating teams, and that's how they get you off on a bad day.
That ranking or those numbers in front of your name definitely makes you the hunted. When you come Purdue next week, you're unranked. It's not they aren't as fired up. I feel like it makes teams like
Get a little fired up.
Purdue and all those guys more fired up. You're playing ranked opponent. I feel like it hypes everyone up more when you're ranked. So yeah, I feel like you are the hunted now.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go to say we're, the biggest hunted team out there, but at the same time, Austin, I actually liked your comment because I think that gets overlooked a lot. I do think opposing teams want to beat Nebraska because of the brand that we've had for years. And there's no fault in that, I guess, on our end, but at the same time, it makes it a little tougher. And then when you have Scott Frost throwing out comments and adds additional targets to make you even more of the hunted, that doesn't help at all either, especially when you're not very good. And then you really don't win, and then you really look like idiots. So I think there's a big spiral effect there that made us a little bit of a laughing stock for a while. I think the respect is coming back. And so to Rule's comment, I think the respected hunted piece is getting there. I wouldn't go to say we're there yet, but yeah, rankings. I mean, it's funny. They cut rankings off at 25, and then you really don't know anybody after that. Even just putting someone
24, Illinois.
Yeah, and yeah, putting Illinois in there. Like I wanted Illinois to be ranked for that reason. Like I wanted our guys to be like, okay, Illinois, they're a top 25 team, whether they are quality wise or not. I don't know, but it does just open your eyes a little bit when that number's in front of your name. Hopefully, we're here to stay for a while.
Another thing that makes you hunt, I feel like, is when you have a top quarterback like Raiola. People hear his name all the time, and it's all over the place, and that I feel like that makes you more hunted too when he comes into town. Which, speaking of that, later on in the episode, I want to have a talk about him, but we'll keep going about Illinois.
Well, let's just do it now, I guess, as we start our Illinois talk. So, Illinois, I mentioned 3-0. They are coached by Bret Bielema. 21-19 is his record here, Illinois. We'll start with their defense. So they run a very multiple style scheme. Defensive coordinator is Aaron Henry in his second year. Illinois' defense was really, really strong 2 years ago with Ryan Walters, who is now at Purdue. They took a pretty big step back last year, and now they are said to be getting back to where they were a couple of years ago. But the way they're doing it is very complex, to say the least. And Walters had a very complex defense too, where they're playing and mixing in man and zone, a lot of different alignments. Their base-ish alignment is like a 3-4 front, but we're going to see it all when we get out there. Their defense is very experienced. They're out of their projected starting 11, all juniors and seniors, but 2 guys. So all upperclassmen, 2 guys in the secondary are sophomores. So I do think that there are holes that we can poke in this defense, but the question is how we are going to do it with their offense. We've seen more of a pass-heavy focus. We've seen the run mixed in. We don't know how much we've really wanted to show, but regardless, it's all been led by the head guy, Dylan Raiola, and he's looked good. Like he's looked solid through 3 games. And what we were hoping was more of a field general game manager type approach, but still has those opportunities for big time plays. Dak,
let's hear it. I want to hear what I got to talk about.
I built it up, so now this better be.
It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do about Illinois.
That's fine. I just talked about Dylan Raiola. No, that's your lead-in. Go.
Okay, here we go. So this has been part of my takes. It's basically like every episode talk now about him acting like Mahomes. And every one of them said it's creepy besides one person, but that story behind that. Anyway, everyone says it's creepy. What do you guys think about that? Like he's trying like a spitting image of him. He's trying to be. I think it's a little creepy.
Why? Tell me the why behind it.
No one cared when Kobe was acting like MJ.
I think it's just fucking weird how everything he does exactly like him. Like everything, cut, his haircut, all his game attire he wears, his pregame wear, everything's like him.
Now he did say he had his haircut a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I don't care. Like I said, no one cared when Kobe emulated MJ.
yeah, my take on it is, I mean, Mahomes is obviously right now the greatest quarterback in the entire nation right now. And if you want to mirror the guy, like, go ahead. I think the creepy part was getting people is he's kind of doing it quietly. Like, he's not really coming out and publicly saying, like, Mahomes is my idol. Like, I'm I'm trying to follow the best quarterback in the world. Do it, he is. There's like so many little things. I don't know. Like, yeah, I think people have probably the creepiness comes in as they think he's like probably practicing pregame rituals in front of,
Nobody.
himself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's where it might become the creepy conversation if he is doing that. But as far as the acting and the looking, like if his gameplay resembles even half of it, like, I'm happy.
Yeah, I feel
They've done the statue for.
There is part of it, like, if he's doing all the exact same things, but he's a black dude, like a black dude, like no one's gonna be like, oh man, this is kind of creepy. But it's because he actually physically looks like Mahomes that it's kind of weird.
And so yeah, to that point, not that we need to talk about this forever, but is he shaping his body, like forming it in the, you know what I mean, lifting weights? Is he trying to look like Mahomes in that sense too, or is that just naturally how things are happening? He, I guess, it doesn't talk like him yet, so that's good.
If that starts happening, good
Mahomes
God.
has a very unique voice, so I think as long as long as he's performing
well.
and playing well, like I think the second that he starts, like looking like an idiot, like he's gonna look like an idiot because he's trying to emulate the best quarterback that's out there. But as of right now, it's a fun talking point. I think it's gonna continue, like, regardless.
He goes out, gets a blonde girlfriend named Brittany. He names their firstborn Skylar. That's when it starts to get real weird.
We jokingly made the comparisons, I think, back in the spring, and people kind of saw it. But it's going to continue to ramp up, and it does sound like too Mahomes and him are at least in conversation, like they've done workouts together. So it's also not just some random dude that is doing to try to get Mahomes' attention, like it naturally is, but he has a relationship with Mahomes too, and he knows him, so that also helps.
Yeah,
Now, Dak, tell me what he has to do to beat Illinois.
Just manage the game. You beat him last year with, goddamn, was it? No, it was Harvard. You beat him last year with Harvard. You got to think all you got to do is manage the game and not be done with the ball. Just play it smart. I mean, their quarterback, we'll get into him, but he's way better. Their offense is better. But just manage the game. If you can beat it with Harburg, you should be able to beat him with Raiola. Don't throw a bunch of picks. Just go out there, play smart. Throw the throws that are there for you, and don't force the ball.
I'm pretty sure last year we just ran the ball down their throats.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I think you did. But I think Harburg played decent, though.
Harburg had a lot of runs, a lot of quarterback designed runs, and we had some big plays last year that really helped.
That was a Friday night too.
It was on the road.
Yeah. As far as like their defense against our offense, I think it's gonna be one again, kind of like last year, where we want to control the ball. We don't want to give them an opportunity to set up offense. I'm not, like I said, none of their defense is good. It's big. So, I mean, that could be issues, but I honestly think they don't like match up well in the sense of what they're good at is what we're good at. It's just physically and talent level wise across the board. I feel like we're pretty similar, except for we probably have a little bit of a better. Our quarterback's probably better than their defensive unit as like a I'm trying to think of this as a scale, but our quarterback probably tips it a little more in our favor of our offense versus their defense.
So what I'm curious to see, and I don't know if it'll happen this game, but when we're faced with a little bit of adversity, if our offense has a couple possessions that stalls, and I know people might argue that that happened in the second half of the past couple of games, I think our approach was pretty set in stone given the score. I want to know what style, what are we running when the score's 10-7 in the third quarter? Right? What does our offense look like? And again, second half of Colorado, better team. But once we got up 14-0, I don't want to say you start playing not to lose, but your game plan and your approach as to how you're attacking that Colorado defense is very different than if that game is 14-14 in the second quarter. So we don't know still really against a more comparable opponent what we're going to run. Our first couple of drives in all of the games have gone well. We have been very efficient offensively. It's not been
we haven't tried to be aggressive. You're right.
we haven't had to. It hasn't had to be flashy. It just had been, and maybe we don't ever need to be, and that would be great. But I want to know how much of the run game is involved. Can we get the run game involved in the third quarter when we need to have a drive? You know, if we're down by a touchdown or 3 points early in the fourth quarter, like what does our offense look like? How aggressive are we attacking the ball down the field?
I mean,
we don't know.
When we decided to be aggressive, like, I mean, the last two games, 2-minute drills, end of game drives, we've been able to move the ball then in those situations, we're actively like, hey, we're going to be aggressive and try to get the ball downfield. And we have successfully done that. The last two games against Colorado, we did it twice. And then last week we did it as well. So it gives you some hope that like, hey, we have that in our pocket. We just haven't had to do that. We're trying not to lose these games.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we've been 3 for 3 before halftime. That's been great. So that's also what I wouldn't call your base offense either. That's your hurry up packages, as Rule was going through and naming all of the different ones they have. I don't know what this is going to look like. I'm hopeful that our run game is going to get going. And if we can get on top of them early and start strong again, we can just do the same thing we've done so far this year. But be ready for some adversity to hit, and we'll see how we respond. I think that will be the big question. And that's what's kind of taken me back from my big 9-3, 10-2 talk from earlier this week is what will happen when we face adversity. One other quick note on our offense. Micah Mazuka is not playing. We don't know why.
He is. Do you see he's listed as a second stringer on the depth chart?
Yes, but he's not playing.
He's not. Ideally he won't be needed to play. Yeah,
personal issues. So we don't know what that means. I hope we hear more about it. We might not.
So he got in a little trouble. That's kind of what it sounds like.
Well, yeah, and that I'm a little bit upset he's not playing. Like I think it better be something bad and worthy in a game like this to not play. And we said, I mean, we talked about Jamari Butler not playing on the defensive side just because of who the opponent was. I hope it's big. Flipping over to the other side of the ball here, Luke Altmaier is their quarterback, 6'2", 205 junior. They got two explosive guys on the end, and Pat Bryant and Zachary Franklin. Zachary Franklin, transfer from Texas San Antonio. Caden Fegan, 6'3", 250. Those dimensions sound pretty familiar to what we saw in Northern Iowa. He's a running back, averaging 4.1 yards a carry. Offensive line, very veteran, all upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors across the board there. Luke Altmaier can run a little bit. They're very spread-like offense, is led by Barry Lunny Jr. in his third season. Their offense should be better, Dak, as you mentioned.
Altmaier's improved a lot. I mean, last year he threw 13 touchdowns, 10 picks. He hasn't thrown a pick all year yet. 6 touchdowns, no picks. And I didn't think he's good. I can't believe they ran back with him this year, but he's improved a lot. I'll give it to him. I mean, I haven't played anybody yet, but hell, he's already almost halfway to his touchdowns in 0 picks, 3 games. He's pretty good now.
Yeah. I mean, last year we beat them because we stopped the run. They only ran it, let's see, 19 times. And so Altmaier threw it like basically 50 times last game. And so we won because Altmaier shouldn't be throwing the ball 50 times. But it feels like they kind of figured that out a little bit with their running back this year.
And they were playing from behind last year. That's the most important thing.
That's true. They were playing from behind. But I think it's going to be the same thing. If we can just contain the run and make Altmaier win, I think we have a good chance. He's improved, but not that improved.
The big
He's a
thing that
quarterback
I'm-
you want playing from behind if you're the opponent.
The big
Right.
thing that I'm looking for is, can we force Altmaier into a couple of turnovers or their offense in general? They are +8 in the turnover margin and second in the country right now. They did force 4 turnovers in the Kansas game that helped them win. Our defense has to continue to force turnovers, at least one a game in games like this. So we hope we can get some pressure back there on pass plays, but I think stopping the run, most importantly, early on is key. Like you said, Austin, that is going to be very big. If we don't do that, and Rule thinks it will be too, it's going to be a smash mouth type of game back and forth, probably low scoring. I think the spread or over unders 43.5. If we win, it'll be because we stopped their run. That's like the number one thing that I think we should be watching. Because, like you said, Altmaier's an okay passer, and I think he's got some weapons outside. But Bert Bielema's identity is running the football. That's what he wants to do. If they get a lead on you, if they're up 17-10, you know exactly what's going to happen. If they
That's
can
where they want to be.
successfully run it, we don't want to be in that spot.
Yep. But they feel like a three-piece offense. They have a stud running back and 2 stud receivers, and that's kind of it. And a
Mhm.
decent offensive line.
Sounds like we've heard that before, Colorado.
That's true.
All right. Time. Let's do survivor picks first, real quick. We'll rattle them off. We're all still alive. I'm a little bit interested in if this is going to be too easy, but I think Dak's going to make it pretty hard on himself with the teams he picked. So my 4 this week, I took South Carolina against Akron. I took Indiana over Charlotte. I took Iowa State over Arkansas State, and I'm taking Pittsburgh over Youngstown State.
I also took Indiana and South Carolina. I went out on a limb and took Sam Houston over New Mexico State and Clemson over NC State. I didn't really want to take Clemson this early, but whatever.
NC State's look bad.
NC State's look bad.
I took LSU over UCLA, Missouri over Vanderbilt, and then the other 2 I didn't put who they played. Penn State plays somebody, Notre Dame plays somebody. Oh, Notre Dame plays Miami, Ohio. I'm hoping that you guys drop out soon because I'm running out of good teams. Like that was my strategy. I mean, I still got some big dogs left, but it's going down to like I'm gonna start taking underdogs.
I think you'll be fine for a few weeks.
I got like 3 weeks left of me until it's gonna hit. This shit's gonna hit the fan.
Dak, we didn't mention it on Sunday. You had a pretty stellar weekend, going 10-5 in week 3. You're 25-20-1 on your way to that 70%. You did not give me a lock last week, so we got to remember to do that.
I did. I remember that. Boston College was my lock.
All right, well, I'll give it to you. 2-1 on your locks.
I was looking back at that. I was like, I thought I did, and I had it on here. It was Boston College.
Okay. Well, you got 30 seconds. Speak clearly for the people to hear.
All right. I'm putting my nuts on table 1 of these picks. You guys can guess which one. All right, here we go. Ready? Let's go. All right. My first one, I'll start with the lock. Utah -2. Florida, Mississippi State, under 58.5. Kansas +2.5. Utah State -6.5. Temple's awful. USC -5. Virginia Tech -3.5. Miami -16.5. Cal +2.5. Minnesota +2.5. Boston College -6.5. Purdue +4.5. North Texas -9. Oklahoma money line. Washington -10.5. Liberty -6.
Oklahoma money line. There you go.
Yep, that's when I'm putting my nuts on the table.
Dak,
Can't start the podcast talking and then not say that.
I have a suggestion for you for future. You need to, in the future, say who they're playing because I'm trying to listen.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of these teams who they're playing.
Yeah, next week I'm gonna write that down because
Who's Purdue playing to only be a 4-point dog?
they are playing let's see here. I don't know on this. Oh, Michigan State, I think.
Nope, Oregon State. They're at Oregon State.
Yeah, okay. And Oregon State is awful, but Purdue's pretty bad too. So we'll see about the one I really love is Utah State -6.5 over Temple. Hammer that.
Like,
Temple's one of the worst teams in the nation.
So then why didn't you make that your lock?
Because Cam Rising's back for Utah. They're also going to win that game.
That'll be a good one on Saturday.
Good games.
Oklahoma State. I'm excited for that one. Oklahoma money line. You couldn't even just take the spread.
No, you got to put your nuts on the table.
Please explain what that means.
I don't know what that means. I had all the talk in the beginning of the podcast. I can't come in and say, "Oh, I'm gonna take +7.5." You got to take money. I actually do think they're gonna win this game. I don't think Tennessee's played anyone. First off, it's gonna be a hostile environment. I don't think they played anyone up to this yet. We'll see.
The other one you mentioned was you had Minnesota, right, at home.
Yep, over Iowa.
I don't like that. I like Iowa.
That's a tricky one. That'll be.
I
What's the
don't
over-under
like
in
that it's at
23?
Minnesota. I think Iowa potentially could be better, but I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, and then that was basically all I really loved. This week was USC -5. I love that over Michigan. Michigan's awful.
Nothing on the Husker game?
No, I'm not gonna touch that. I ain't touching that.
Well, it will be a short week. We have won't be having a tailgate pod. Big wedding. Sister's getting married on Friday. No, she did not put the wedding on the game day. The Big Ten moved the game up.
How unfortunate.
So
we get a wedding pod.
Quick score predictions.
24-17 Nebraska.
20-13 Nebraska.
I'm gonna buy into the hype. 31-14 Big Red.
Also, shout out volleyball playing Stanford tonight.
Get her done, ladies. All right.
I will not
Big
be watching.
Red.
GBR.
Boomer Sooner. Fuck Tennessee.